Our starting point today is a rural village on the edge of the city. Since it's still within the ring roads, I'd say it counts at the inner outskirts. Areas on the very fringe of the county town are what we'd call the far outskirts. It's freezing out today. I've got my phone plugged into a power bank to keep the battery going longer and make sure it stays stable in this cold. Of course, there are even more remote villages, those deep in the mountains or right on the border between cities. Today, we are going to explore the rural landscape of North China. This is a classic example of a North Chinese village landscape. All private self-builds. A region's architectural style is shaped by its culture, but even more so by the local building materials available. You can see all sorts of vehicles parked along the roadside, ranging from domestic Chinese brands to joint venture models. A domestically produced BMW X3 just drove past. The road is lined with all sorts of fruit trees and the like. On either side, there are fruit orchards or vegetable plots. or just patches of woodland. I'm not really sure what they are used for. On the right are many large polytunnels covered with insulation blankets. They're growing cherries in there. The family who owns this place has a golden retriever that loves to play with people. There are also a few local crossbreeds. They make excellent guard dogs. The local crossbreeds are actually leagues ahead of golden retrievers in terms of intelligence. They are on a completely different level. The local crossbreeds are very wary and usually keep their distance from strangers, whereas golden retrievers will play with absolutely anyone. During the day, these local dogs will give you a wide berth, but at night, if a stranger approaches their territory, they'll bark incessantly to drive them away. They are incredibly brave. I actually befriended the little golden retriever first. Later on, the local crossbreeds realized I was there to see the golden retriever. If the little one wasn't around, they'd actually go and fetch her for me. Nipping at the golden's ear to lead her out. You'll also come across burial mounds scattered throughout the fields. It would be a bit scary passing by at night. We are crossing a ring road now and heading back onto the village lanes. There are lots of workshops here making furniture and mattresses. In fact, many of those high-end looking products you see in big showrooms actually come from places just like this. The roads in this village are really quite a struggle to navigate. You can clearly tell which houses are new and which are old just by looking at them. I see a dog and really want to give it a pat. It looks like a corgi, but is likely a corgi cross. Its temperament is much more cautious than a typical corgi. Nowadays, every household has to use natural gas. You aren't allowed to burn wood or coal anymore. The yellow pipes you see on the outside of the houses are the gas mains. There are even more furniture workshops down this way. They aren't actually that big, but they've got some very grand name. They're all called Furniture City this or Furniture Plaza that. There's something quite bizarre and incredibly bold going on here. They have absolutely no qualms about using all sorts of famous celebrities to endorse their products. Of course, the celebrities themselves have no idea, and nobody ever takes them to task over it. I just wonder if anyone actually buys into it. Whether they really believe it or not is anyone's guess. Over here are all these massive looking showrooms. On holidays, they blast music from loudspeakers and even shout about government subsidies for buying furniture. Who knows if the subsidies are even real? I reckon they just hike up the prices and then find an excuse to offer a discount just to make people feel like they are getting a bargain. Honestly, well, you know how it is. Can you hear that? The loudspeakers are blaring away. We are heading on to a section of a marathon track now. Rumor has it this Beltway marathon track was purpose-built to the tune of 750 million RMB. We are carrying on down the back roads, heading back towards the city center. This part isn't rural anymore. It's actually where the earliest major state-owned factories and their residential quarters were built. In its heyday, landing a job at one of these major factories was the envy of everyone. The pay was high and the staff housing was top-notch. However, because they were so far from the city center, they were entirely self-contained with their own creches, nurseries, and primary schools, sometimes even a secondary school. but they never went as far as having their own sixth form. This whole area used to be surrounded by villages. In the last couple of years, though, policy changes have meant they've all had to be pulled down to make way for standardized high-rise residential blocks. The construction site is all boarded up, but when it'll actually be finished is anyone's guess. You can see there's an awful lot of dust being kicked up here. There are still a few of the old houses left standing that haven't been torn down yet. You can tell from their appearance which ones are the old, low-rise buildings. The grand, traditional-style structure on the left is most likely the main gate for a new apartment complex. Regardless of what the buildings are like, or if they are even finished, putting up a flashy gate first is a bit of a local habit. It's all about keeping up appearances. Personally, I can't stand this sort of thing. It's a pure vanity project. I mean, am I shelling out for a home or just for a front gate? What exactly is a fancy entrance supposed to do for me? A gain like that would set them back several million at the very least. This area can basically be considered part of the city proper now. Mind you, several years ago, this was the far outskirts. It was nowhere near this bustling back then. Aside from the local factory workers and villagers, hardly anyone ever came here. This road is also brand new. It cuts straight through to the city and links up with the existing road network. The apartment blocks on both sides are all part of new developments. They are brand new and this color scheme looks quite fresh. Do you know that feeling where, even though it's crowded, it doesn't actually feel bustling?